Hello, Viva ma'am. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm just making coffee for myself. I could hear you. मैं शक्ल दिखा देती हूँ, कॉफी लेकर आती हूँ. Nice, nice. Let's
I,
see. I shared so late with so many people. They're going to either watch it on YouTube later or maybe join in then in between.
yeah. And where are you,
Mhm.
ma'am?
Pardon?
Where are you? Are you in
ऑक्सफोर्ड
Germany?
में बैठी हुई हूँ.
England?
आज बहुत दिनों के बाद धूप खिली है बाहर.
Acha, you are in
It had
England.
been raining continuously, but today the sun has come out.
Acha, you are in England.
England.
Okay, wow.
So that's why you said you have no idea what my time zone is right now.
Hmm.
कभी USA में,
Because
कभी England में, कभी Germany
whenever I
में.
talk to you, are at a new place. Hello,
Look
Deepak
at
sir.
that. Professor Deepak Behra is also
Yeah.
here. Do you know I met Professor Behra in Germany, in Tübingen, when he
Acha,
was visiting Professor 2013. 2013, 2014. Yeah. Okay.
so
चलिए
Delhi,
मैं जरा कॉफी लेकर आती हूँ.
Delhi is extremely bad. Everybody is unwell in Delhi. Everybody. There is some or other problem with everyone. The people are saying it's just like smoking 26 cigarettes every day.
Yeah, आप लोग तो दिल्ली में बैठे हैं. People keep asking me, when are you going to Delhi? I said, I'm not going till the fog clears.
नहीं, नहीं,
मैं नहीं आ रही हूँ.
अभी
हाँ,
जो ये 3 महीने होते हैं ना, they're very
हाँ.
bad. Professor Deepak came to Delhi and he fell so ill.
No, I have been falling ill past few years. Whenever I've even passed through Delhi, even for a day. I'm
मित्र
like,
साहब मेरे को मेडिसिन दिलाएं. I
Oh,
still remember. So I had a
मेरा
chest
टीम के सारे
congestion.
गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेस से फिल्टर निकाल दो and then the solution will come.
फिर मेरे को I started consuming antibiotics and सुबह साहब फिर मित्र साहब को रिक्वेस्ट किए. फिर मित्र जी मेरे को मेडिसिन एंटीबायोटिक्स. I started consuming antibiotics and
Antibiotic.
फिर थोड़ा मैं रिकवर किया.
now everybody has symptoms like you had, sir. Almost
Bronchitis,
everybody.
bronchial.
Almost everybody. In every family, you will find one or two people. They are down with a problem, throat problem, infection.
Very toxic. It's the
Very,
air is toxic.
very toxic. Very toxic.
But it was not like that earlier. So what has changed in last few years?
I think
That
it could be a couple of things together. COVID effect, along with it has, I don't know what kind of a damage it has done to our lungs, we really don't know.
No,
Right?
but even before COVID, I had seen a documentary on the Delhi pollution. They said हमने तो सितारे ही नहीं देखे हैं. I used to tell my friends, अरे देखो planet का alignation. They think कि planet नहीं दिखता है, केवल चांद दिखता है. Stars, planets नहीं दिखते.
नहीं,
ये हाल.
वो हमारे यहाँ ना, when two couples get married, they play a game. वो नक्षत्र को ट्रेस करना होता है. आप यहाँ से जाओ, यहाँ से जाओ.
नक्षत्र can't see any stars anymore.
Can't see anything.
Yeah. चलो, I'll get my coffee here. मैं जरा camera.
Get you coffee. Yeah. So, sir, how is your university going? Hello, Professor Ranjana Ray. Ma'am, how are you?
Hello, madam. Madam, can you listen?
Hello, Ruxana. How are you? Great to see you. You are muted. So is Ranjana ma'am muted.
Hi, sorry. A very good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Seeing ma'am after a long time.
Good evening.
Ranjana ji, namaskar.
I'll just switch off my video so that I save some bandwidth. Because I'm having a little trouble.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you.
Now, you see, I think the only way we can deal with it is if it becomes pollution in Delhi. If it becomes a people's movement, only then it can be dealt with. It has to become a political issue. It has to be linked with votes, and it has to be linked with the elections. Then only we can see a solution forthcoming. Otherwise, there's no hope. There's no hope for Delhi. Hello, Rachna. How are you? All's well?
All well, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Ma'am, whenever you will give me a green signal, I will start. We can wait for a couple of more minutes.
Yes, and we have 14 persons now, and I think it's up to the Kolkata Society Secretary to start with.
No problem.
Actually, I was not able to enter of this. I didn't find the link. I just got the link, so maybe the same problem is going on with some others as well.
Okay.
Madam, can I
Thank you. Go ahead.
start the program?
Yes, please.
Very good evening, everyone. I should start the program with a short introduction of today's speaker. We are going to tribute Professor Vinay Kumar Srivastava. Today is his birthday, and every year we arrange this memorial lecture on this particular day. He was our advisory board member, and he was our vice president also. So we cherish his memory in this day also. So we should start our program now. Professor R.P. Mitra is a professor of social anthropology at the Department of Anthropology in the University of Delhi. He will deliver his lecture today. Prior to joining the department in 2003, he worked as research fellow.
Ma'am, everybody knows me. No need for an introduction. It will become very ritualistic, right?
Okay.
So my best introduction, introduce myself. Let me introduce myself.
I may intervene.
Well, my introduction would be today that I'm lucky to be the disciple of Srivastava sir. It was by chance that I happened to work with him. That's a long story, which I will narrate it. But what I am today and what I'm going to speak about is all what I have learned from Vinay Srivastava. So it is not so much of a memorial lecture for me. It's a kind of an academic tribute to a great scholar, which I am making. So,
excuse me, Ampersand. One moment. Give me one moment, because I think you need to give your background.
okay.
It's not all of us are like anthropologists. There are
Okay.
also people
Okay.
from
Please
other
go ahead.
walks of life.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
We have so many people from other disciplines.
Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So, Professor Mitra, Mitra's areas of academic interest include medical, development, psychology, and environmental anthropology. He has worked on the indigenous knowledge system, ecology, and developmental issues in tribal and rural communities in India, and specializes on ecologically sustainable developmental modeling with emphasis on participative action research, and has been associated with impact evaluation studies sponsored by the Government of India. He has directed the task force program of social impact evaluation of centrally sponsored conversation development CCD programs for the government of Madhya Pradesh. He has also the project director for the study on status of crimes against women in Eastern India, sponsored by the BPRD, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. He has published 2 books and more than 50 papers in reputed journals in the field. He has participated and presented papers in many national and international conferences. His most recent publications are on the topic of doing impact evaluation with a primarily vulnerable community, published by the Sage India, and Varia Religion, Springer Nature. Currently, he is a member of the Board of Research Studies at the Department of Anthropology, Central University of Hyderabad, NIRTH, ICMR, Jabalpur, University of Nagaland, RGU, Arunachal Pradesh, and the Central University of Bihar. He has guided 5 PhDs and 18 MPhil dissertations. So, welcome, sir. Invited you to start your speech, and before that, I request Professor Ranjana Rai to start this program with his with a
Very much.
chair. Yeah.
Very much. As Professor Ramprasad Mishra right now has said that he was a student, direct student of Professor Srivastava, and he has done his PhD under him. We know it, and that's why we are also we are very glad that he has accepted this invitation. First, secondly, we are also very glad to have him as a speaker on this memorial lecture. It is really will be a tribute for the memory of such a great teacher and researcher like Professor Srivastava. So his topic today is imagination as a methodological tool in anthropological research. And I'm sure all of us, whether we are anthropologists or non-anthropologists, we are all academicians, and we will be much grateful for his lecture. I will request him to begin with.
Professor Mitra, please.
Thank you so much, madam. That was a very generous introduction on your part, and I'm really honored. I'm overjoyed, rather, to deliver this memorial lecture, which I consider more of a tribute, an academic tribute to Professor Srivastava and his work. And I would like to thank right at the onset Professor Ranjana Ray and Kolkata Society for Asian Studies, who gave me this opportunity to talk about an issue which was very close to Vinay Srivastava her. So, all esteemed participants who are present here, uh, Professor Sarit Chaudhary, Professor Deepak Kumar Behra, Professor Vibha, Ruxana, and all others who are joining us online. It is indeed my pleasure to deliver this lecture today. It's been 5 years to this day since this message reverberated all across in India, in the anthropological world, that Vinay sir is no more. It was same evening I remember, and the sense of disbelief and shock which stunned us that evening on December 3rd, 2020, continues to be with us, as it is hard to believe that Vinay Srivastava is no more. There are two ways people are remembered after they are no more, they pass away. There are people whose absence is missed, and there are second people who, through their present, always that we realize they are no more. Why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because not a single day passes in our department that we do not remember Professor Srivastava. Whether it be we are teaching in the classroom, or whether it be we are in the seminar room, or whether it be we are in the meeting, or whether it be we are just gossiping with one another. In some way or other, Professor Srivastava is with us through his ideas, through his talks, through his wits, and through his charm. He has not gone anywhere. He still remains with us. Therefore, I say it is hard to believe he is no more. We continue to celebrate him. Now, it is undoubtedly an acknowledged fact that Professor Vinay Srivastava was one of the finest, if not the best, social anthropologist of his generation in India. Through his writing and teaching, he left an indelible impact on practice of anthropology in India. Some excelled in academics, some excelled in teaching, but what Vinay Srivastava really excelled in is being a wonderful teacher, friend, colleague, companion, mentor, father, husband, son, and brother. You name a role, he used to excel in that. And above all, the kind
Dr.
of.
Mitro,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Can you please adjust your camera because your face is getting cut?
Okay. Yeah, is it fine?
It is fine now. If you are bending, that time it is getting cut.
Okay. Actually, I'm using two screens.
Oh, okay.
Whatever role he played, whether as an academician, whether as a teacher, or whether as a person, he used to excel in that. He used to bring a new flair to that kind of understanding. Professor Srivastava, if we talk in terms of academics, was a very prolific contributor. He wrote more than 20 books, or edited more than, he authored more than 20 books or edited them. And along with that, he wrote hundreds of articles in national and international journals. His writing touched upon social anthropology of religion, development, ecology, medical anthropology, aging, caste, tribe system, anthropological theory, and methods. Of all these themes, there were three themes which were very close to his heart. One was anthropological theories, second was anthropological methods, and third was anthropology of religion. And all these three themes, they were part of his three seminal books, as we all know, which came out first in 1997, Religious Renunciation in a Pastoral Community, Methodology and Fieldwork in 2004, Oxford University Press, and Contribution to Sociological Theory by Sage in 2014. It is this trilogy which forms the basis of my lecture today, which I am talking about the role of imagination as a methodological tool in anthropology. Now, I have divided this talk into two distinct parts. In the first part, I'm going to look at what imagination turn has taken place in anthropology. And second, I'm going to focus specifically on what is the impact of this imagination turn, if I may use the term, in context of practice of ethnography in anthropology. So the first part, we look at how imagination has come to play a very important role in contemporary anthropological practices. At its core, anthropology demands what we call an imaginative leap by comparatively challenging the naturalness of one's own cultural world and trying to understand what we call as the other culture. It is through the other culture study that we come to not only understand our own culture, but also we try to understand what otherness really implies. Now, this imagination, which was at the core of the practice of anthropology in understanding of other culture, over the years has also driven the changes and the transformation which has taken place in the discipline. Imagination has recreated anthropology in the post-colonial and post-modern times. For example, now we tend to reimagine anthropology, the politics of knowledge and discipline's place in the world. This project continues in the context of the transformation which is taking place with emergence of globalization and reconfiguring of the approach we have taken in anthropology in understanding of culture. With the Arjun Apodarai's concept of globalization and his understanding of imaginary in order to capture the transnational flows and disjunctures, the role of imagination has come as a central methodological tool in understanding of myriad ways through people are migrating, resisting state violence, seeking social redress, and designing new form of civic association and collaboration across national boundaries. With the climate change and Anthropocene emerging as an important focus of world attention, the hypothesis that new geological era defined by evidence of anthropogenic global environmental change that begin with has also been seen reconsider the place of non-human in the anthropological project has also called for a reimagination of anthropological theories through the uh, process of what we call as relooking into the relationship between the human world, the animal world, and natural world. We are running in an era where imagination has come to define many of our concepts. For example, we deal with the context of, we deal with the concept of imagined community. We deal with the concept of imaginary state. We are dealing with the concept of colonial imagination. We are dealing with the concept of bioethical, and we are dealing with the concept of moral imagination. All these terms are the new analytical terms which is redefining the boundaries of anthropology. Much of our ideas of how we look at imagination in anthropology is informed by the ideas of famous Charles Tyler concept of social imaginary, where he defines the way in which people imagine their social existence, how they fit with others, how things go on between them and their fellows, the expectations that are normally met, the deeper normative notion and imagine that underlies these expectations are what the stuff of imagination is all about. Our lived social reality, linked to place, space, and host of other humans and other forms of life and non-living beings, is destabilizing the classic dichotomies between human and the other and offering a new social imaginaries that focus on intersection, entanglement, assemblages, alignments, and ruptures, that is replacing either or with, in between, the boundaries of nature and culture. Now, I am going to look at this imaginary turn which has shaped anthropology in terms of practice of anthropology in today's talk. Now, imagination was very close to Professor Vinay Srivastava's work. He would say that it is imagination and anthropological imagination, which sounds like the C. Wright Smith work on sociological imagination, is what makes anthropology distinct from other disciplines. He used to say that imagination is essential to the practice of ethnographic method. Now, what he meant by imagination? By imagination, Professor Srivastava meant that it is a process of creativity. It's a process of how we take a leap from what is observable, what is visible, to what the things really are. And need for imagination in ethnography, it arises from the fact that when we are studying cultures, or when we are studying communities, or when we are studying any social setting, there are two layers of realities what we are dealing with. There is what we call the surface reality, as Levi Strauss has put it, and there is what is called a deeper reality. Now, this distinction of surface and deeper reality, which formed the basis of anthropology in 1960s, is what from where the concept of imagination took a methodological turn in anthropology. Now, you see, when we go for fieldwork, when we study people, communities, organization, uh, our primary source of data is what people talk, what we see, what we understand from the social conventions, and what is the context of our inquiry. Now, this kind of study where we are relying on what we see and what people tell us has a limitation. Limitation in the sense that uh, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of things which people talk about when we are doing field work. Now, whatever they tell us, whatever we observe, they do not become an ethnographic fact. To be a thing as an ethnographic fact, there is a three-step process. We first make a description of a social phenomena. Now, this description is further interpreted, and interpretation along with explanation and understanding is what changes the fact of our observation into what we call as ethnographic fact. Now, this journey from observation, interpretation, and explanation is where we require what we call a imagination jump, or where we require what we call a stretch of imagination. Now, Professor Srivastava used to say that this kind of imagination was not needed when a botanist is doing a experiment in a lab, or when a chemist is doing an experimentation in the lab, or say Jane Goodall when she was doing a study of the chimpanzees in Gombe Park in Tanzania, because their study involved essentially a positivistic framework. If the investigator have arrived at certain conclusions that chimpanzees are non-vegetarian, they have the same ability of fashioning tool, make use of language, or the ability to learn, they are all based on repeated observation rather than understanding of what goes on in the minds of the subject of researcher. In similar way, the fieldwork done by geologists or zoologists is also conducted in this positive manner. But this is not so in the context of anthropological fieldwork. We have to here go beyond what people tell us or what we observe. Now, it is always difficult to what we say is to understand the reality as it is. So, the term which we use to understand reality in anthropology is what is called as approximation. We try to reach the level of understanding which enable us to approximate what is nearest to what people look at the world, the reality of the world. Now, this requires what we say is some kind of imaginary leap. Now, this imaginary leap constitutes of three kinds of logic or three kinds of arguments through which we craft our ethnographic facts. The first logical leap which we take is in terms of understanding the data in terms of what we call as rigor of argumentation. What is this rigor of argumentation? The rigor of argumentation is that we have to see to it that the rigor of logic, that is, no contradictions are there in what we are talking about. Now, it does not mean that we do not deal with contradiction in our data. We deal with contradiction in our data. The very famous statement of the 2 crore problem in ethnography, where whatever was told to an anthropologist was contradicted by a chief 2 crore, that this is not what it happens, is not something which we get away with. The logic of argumentation is whenever the contradictions are there, we have to resolve these contradictions in terms of reaching a higher level of understanding. So the first logic of argumentation or logic of a rigor of argumentation or rigor of logic comes through this whole idea of how the concept of logic explains our data. The second kind of leap of imagination we take with our data is what is called as the rigor of theory. Now, it is in a theoretical context that whatever the data is, it is further explained, it is further understood. It does not mean that we do not change our theories, and primarily the theoretical rigor is all about how our theories get challenged through our data, how our theories get modified through their data. So instead of what may be done in other field sciences, where data may have is fitted into theoretical framework, we do it in a what we call as a grounded understanding, where the theories are modified with the data. This is known as the rigor of theory. The third kind of imagination leap, which we say, is what we call the empirical rigor. Now, this empirical rigor or empirical imagination is what is something problematic for us, because this empirical rigor implies that whatever the space, social time, context of time we are studying, it is connected to a reference reality. Now, what is this reference reality? Reference reality, we will define it as a portion of the social reality with which we are dealing with, which people share and which can be communicated and understood by others. Now, when I say there is a reference reality, I am not taking what is called a positivistic view of a reality which is existing segregated from the social lives of people. What I am referring to is here maybe be closer to what is called as the realist hypothesis. The realist hypothesis of that there is an independent reference reality, and this independent reference reality, although created by people, is what is shared by all, and that is a very important in understanding of what our data is produced through understanding. So I talked about that our imaginatory leap, it starts with first the rigor of our understanding and how we combine the raw observational fact into what we call as the ethnographic fact by imagining it through the logical framework of argumentation, by examining it through the logical framework of theory, and by examining it through the logical framework of what we call as the empirical rigor. It is the fit between these three. It is the conjunction between these three is what we what enables us to take that imaginary leap to the understanding of people. Now, imagination leap also reverberates in the Geertzian idea of interpretation as it is used in anthropology. Now, the Geertzian idea of interpretation differ in terms of how the data is or how the reality is bounced between two poles. One, the data is divided into its atomistic unit, and second is the whole in which the data is seen. Now, this interrelationship between the contextual, particular, atomistic, and the whole of which it is a part is what is behind the imagination that enables us to interpret the reality from the raw data to the ethnographic facts. So this comes from the ethnographist's active engagement with people's thought, their practices in everyday life. So the ethnographic facts are inductively deducted by the ethnographer through making the sense of the process of selection. Three processes here it's focused about: selection, appropriation, and improvisation of cultural possibilities in everyday life by individual acting in a social context. Now, what the focus is here, that as Turner said, that we play out a script as given to us by the society is not what really the social reality is. For every individual, the social reality is an individual reality. And acting in a context, individual selects the most appropriate behavior, the most appropriate things to do. And after selecting, he tries to find the best way to execute it, the appropriation. And second, the improvisation, which is provided by the set of cultural possibilities which operates in any social context. It is through this process of meaning making and how did they ensure rigor and authenticity in it is we make a imaginary leap from raw data to ethnographic facts. Now, what Geert says is it is hopping back and forth between the whole, conceived through the parts, that actualize it, and the part conceived through the whole that motivates them. A beautiful line. Hopping back and forth between the whole, conceived through the parts that actualizes it, and parts conceived through the whole that motivates them, we seek to turn them by a sort of intellectual perpetual motion into explication of another. That means by looking at the relationship between the part and the whole, is that we set into motion what Dilthey call as the hermeneutic circle, and is what is behind our understanding and interpretation of the data. My argument here is that this kind of hermeneutic circle between the part and the whole, how the part is explained by the whole and what is the contribution of part to the whole, is central to ethnographic imagination and thus to the penetration of others people mode of thought, as it is to literary, historical, psychoanalytic, or bibliographic interpretation, or for that matter, to the informal annotation of everyday experience, what we call as common sense. Now, the problem here is that when we are imagining, the imagination should not be such that it does violence to the data. It is not distortion of the data. It is a step towards understanding of what we call in the beginning the approximation, the idea of reaching nearest to what goes on in the people's mind is what the imagination is all about. Now, this kind of imagination as an ethnographic tool has been given a new leap with the emergence of the multisensory ethnography. Now, ethnography is no longer restricted to the text. Beyond the text, we now use sensory participation with the people by understanding the role of smell, the role of touch, the role of taste in how people construct their reality. The understanding of sound has emerged as a very important way of penetrating the social realities and the social world of people. This new kind of interplay between auditory, between sensory, between smell, has formed the basic to the understanding of many of the social issues like caste, racial discrimination, gender, understanding of social stratification, understanding of subjugation of the people, understanding of social reality, whatever aspect of social reality we talk about. So, in the context of today's talk, what we see is that imagination as a tool in ethnography has come to play a very important role in understanding of anthropology. And one of the important ways in which Professor Srivastava used this idea of imagination was in understanding of the Raika religion and the role of renunciation in the Raika religion. He relooked into this idea of renunciation from the point of view of how people they define renunciation. So this whole idea of a little tradition understanding of renunciation and what the implication of this this little tradition's Raika's understanding of renunciation has an implication for sociology of implication is what his work about renunciation in a pastoral community has dealt with. He has relooked into the whole idea of community, reconstituting it by understanding that community should be looked at in the form of what we call as the immediate community and what we call as community at large, and how immediate community in terms of those who are surrounding the Raikas are central to the social structure of the Raika, and their world and reality is what is important in understanding of the renunciation process rather than the whole idea of the Raika community at large. But the Raika community at large is the value, is the source of the values, is the role of the central ideas which goes into the renunciation. So the renunciation in the Raikas is a product of both the individual who are the part of the micro reality and the values and the ethos, the larger context of the Raika community. I believe it is this idea of imagination, the anthropological imagination, is what which makes anthropology a discipline far superior to any other discipline. With this, I end my lecture, and I will request Professor Ranjana Ray to open this lecture for discussion because there are people who have worked closely with Professor Vinay Srivastava, and definitely they would like to look at his practice of anthropology and how he has looked at imagination and theoretical ideas in his work. Thank you. Thank you all for giving me a patient hearing.
Thank you very much, Professor Mitro, for giving this lecture, and it was so much in relation to Professor Srivastava's ideas, concepts, and work, and also for this concept that you have discussed about is a very important one. It's a current one, and people are also following this, and this is really, I would thank you for that. Actually, the invited lectures are not open to questions, but we have some very important person who have got their lifelong in social anthropology and anthropology as such as we have here. I can see whatever names I can see here is Professor Deepak Kumar Behra and Shorit Kumar Chaudhary, and I would like to request them to put something on the very lucid discussion that Prashad had presented here. So, Deepak, would you please give some of your feedback?
First of all, namaskar, and First of all, I would like to congratulate Professor Mitraji for the fascinating talk. It was a brilliant lecture and rightly said by Professor Anjana Roy in a memorial lecture. Normally, questions are not asked, but Professor Mitra has volunteered that there should be some discussion. So, I think what is this is kind of commentary, not actually any. I don't have any question to ask. So, what I enjoyed the most, the way he uh, mixed up his lecture with Professor Srivastava brilliant idea. That I like the most. Imagination, for instance, and ethnography. Ethnography was something very close to Vinayji's heart, and what I like the new dimension that Professor Mitra added to his critical thinking analysis. Particularly now, he looked at ethnography from a different perspective. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So from a different perspective, So what is very important also, the I mean the ethnographers' lived experiences in the field should be an integral part of the ethnography. And but I have been researching on children and childhood for a long time. I would like to ask Professor Mitra. It's not a question, but when I look at different classical ethnography book, I don't find much coverage. Most of the seasoned ethnographer don't write on children and childhood. My question is that children are very important part of a community. They constitute like around 30, 40% of a community under 18, and then if we say that anthropology of study of man and his work, then how come we keep on ignoring children? Why we don't put them at the center stage while writing an ethnography? So sometimes I feel as if they don't exist, and they are very important people, and they are the future of a community. But I am reminded of an article. Why don't anthropologists like children? There is an article, and that raised a lot of controversy, where the author compared, the development of children in a psychological, kind of a linear progression, and it was much controversial article. So that I would like to know from Professor Mitra two aspects, like how can we add our lived experience as ethnographer to our ethnographic writings, and second, why children are missing in ethnographic writings.
Yeah, thank you, Deepak sir. And I think you have raised a very pertinent question. And that is where the imaginational turn which has happened in anthropology has come to of great help in understanding of those people who are considered, uh, the mutated lot, or those like children who are not seen as people with agencies, one who would not be able to articulate their views and articulates their talk, to be seen as to be, which is seen as necessary to the understanding of social reality. But with the changes happening in anthropology, this kind of bias towards the children are giving way, and the children world is seen as as a very important way to understand the social reality at a larger canvas. For example, a few days back, This is all because of the pollution. Few days back, I read an account of an orphanage in China. This was, you see, all our ethnography that begin with tracing the social world of an individual. So this ethnography of the child was was about his life in an orphanage. Now this boy is 8 years old. He's kind of a bully there in the orphanage, right? And the ethnographer is trying to understand this bullying behavior and what is the role of those who are taking care of the orphanage in managing this bullying. So, bringing together the realities as expressed by the caregiver, bringing together the reality, the fragmented reality of what the children said, and bringing together the social change and the transformation which is happening in the society. By joining this dot through this idea of ethnographic imagination, that the anthropologist was able to understand the children world and the world at large. So this methodological tool of imagination can enable us to enter the children world. It can enable us to understand the world of, say, deaf, understand the world of blinds, understand the world of those who have an alternative sensibility, an alternate perspective of looking at the world. So, no other method can enable us to understand children. It is only the ethnographic imagination which can fill that void, the things which children just experiences in their mind but cannot express.
Thank you very much, Professor Mitra.
Sorry, Ranjana ma'am, the article was written by Lawrence A. Hursfield.
Yes, yes.
Why don't anthropologists like children?
Yes, yes.
Yes, correct.
Just happened to read this few days back.
Right, good addition.
Thank you.
Now, Shorit, would you please say something, add something?
I don't know. I mean, thanking Professor Mitra will be little for such a brilliant presentation. I'm sure, I mean, what Professor Srivastava was known to all of us for his craft, which I think Professor Mitra acquired, inculcated in a sense of, your lecture has put us, all of us, I think, into the trance. So getting out of that mold, it takes time. I don't have any question in that sense. I just wanted to know that when it comes to the question of autoethnography, or in other sense, if it is the question of biography, which is again a popular method in anthropology, how we can position the notion of imagination in both this format of doing in a larger sense of ethnography.
You see, the most important aspect of imagination is estrangement. That what you see has to be something which is strange to you. When something is different, something is strange. It is what calls for a creative imagination for understanding of that reality. So, if you are working in your own community, or you are writing your biography, or you are doing autoethnography, the first thing which is the most important is the idea of estrangement. And I'm reminded here of Professor Vinay Srivastav's statement, I do not know a thing unless I study it. This is the axiom, he says, with which we have to approach any reality, may it be our own reality. So, when he was doing a study of marriage ritual of his own daughter's marriage, so he told me that I started with the idea of that uh, that what I do not know anything. So this whole idea of objectivity, this whole idea of subjectivity, the idea of being other, he says, is a state of mind. It has nothing to do with your being belonging to a group or not belonging to a group. It all comes from the state of your mind, of how you are observing a phenomena. When you question, when you challenge what seems as conventional, what is seen as a regular kind of a phenomena, is what will enable you to understand, as Malinowski said, the imponderabilia of everyday life. So, so this whole idea of otherness is a state of mind. It has nothing to do with you belonging to a group or a particular ethnicity.
But with the permission of chair, I would like to supplement. Ranjana ma'am, can I speak something?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. See, Professor Mitra, I slightly beg to differ from you here because, when it is a question of reliability and validity, you said that it's a state of mind. But I have read many ethnographics, literature where the ethnographer has given completely wrong interpretation of a situation because he is not part and parcel of the community. He doesn't have the first-hand knowledge. So now the indigenous people, they're challenging the classic ethnography, and they said that objectivity cannot be attained in social science. We social scientists, as anthropologists, we can't maintain 100% objectivity. So what is wrong in getting subjective? So if I belong to a particular community and I am doing research on my community, and then the other way, if the social scientist is likely, the anthropologist or the ethnographer is likely to be wrong because of his wrong interpretation. And what is wrong then if the insider will do a kind of autoethnography, and he or she may be a biased person, but still then in terms of reliability and validity, it will be accepted. It will be accepted by the scientific community, because 80s and 90s this autoethnography became very popular. You know that, and how that is also a kind of initiative to decolonize anthropology, because initially all the colonial administrators, they came as ethnographer and studied different community, and they made also a lot of wrong interpretation. So they said that why all the time other people will come and do this kind of wrong interpretation of our community. We are the people, we are trained, and we are also, maybe they're anthropologists and they are writing about their community. So this is the argument. How would you like to respond?
Well, sir, it leads me to epistemological issue. The
As
epistemological issue is,
Ram Prasad, can
yeah.
I intervene, please? Did Rachana And where is her house?
Just one line, sir, ma'am, one line.
Okay, okay. So maybe that,
This raises a very important epistemological issue. Is the social reality is the social reality in the minds of people? And if it is the minds of people, is it all conscious to people? Is there an element of social reality which operates at the level of unconscious? And if it operates at the level of unconscious, can people reach that level of unconscious by solely being a member of a community? You need what we call as methodological reflexivity. And this methodological reflexivity can be from an autoethnography, or it can be from a person who is an outsider and studying a community. So
Yeah.
my reply would be that if there is a problem of objectivity in the account of the outsider, there is a problem of subjectivity in the account of the insider. Both faces their own set of problem. It is only the ethnographic imagination that can enable us to leap from that problem.
Sorry, do you want to
No,
say?
I think already somebody has raised the hand. Let her.
Archana has,
On this issue, I fully stand with what Professor Mitra is talking about, but let the others contribute.
Krishna, please. Would you like to have raised your hands? So please.
Hello?
Yes, please add what you have to say to Professor Mitra. You have a long way.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, so when Professor Mitra was talking, what I was imagining was how Professor Srivastava, when he would be talking about, when he would want to hear how a student of his is observing, would say, "I don't know. You tell me." And one would know that sir knows even when he's saying that he doesn't know. And remembering sir, I felt about what sir said about why we do not talk of children, what Professor Behra said, and what Sir said about objectivity and reflexivity. As anthropologist, or someone who would, I would say, who would have listened to Sir, observed what he's saying, Sir teaches us to uh, observe the field and then reflect on why we observed what we observed. When we say when we are observing a particular kind of experiences only in the field, it says a reading of our positionality and our understanding. That is what I felt. And after listening to Sir and trying to make out why would have Sir said what he said, with regards to his work with on Kabali, which I had tremendous difficulty trying to write what Sir would have written. It is like I'm sure Professor Mitra would have a take on this. Thank you.
Yeah, you are absolutely right that imagination is all about observation of your observations. It is it is all about mm, uh, looking at the talking of the talks of the people. People talk, and what is the talking of that talk is where you need an imagination to understand the talk. Now,
No, sir, what I'm saying is that even as an anthropologist, what I observe has a reading, you know,
yeah,
no matter how nuanced my observation is. So, therefore, to, to, to observe everything has to go with a caveat that, n- who is the observer again has its reading of what is being observed. Sorry, sir, I felt so about the process or the
uh,
method.
you know,
For the comment, and I think this paper will be, usually publish the lecture. This lecture we already had done these lectures in the Journal of the Kolkata Society, and whatever comments you have, maybe you can send it to Professor Ramitro. Then he will also may add and say something in it, because those suggestions that all of you have made are really very, very important for understanding. Because this imagination, concept of imagination in methodology is a very recent one. And I think, especially for the students, it becomes quite hard to learn. At our times, it was very easy. Point by point, what you have to do, or one by one, what you have to do. But now that since the subject has also gone changed and development, so new methods and new concepts are coming up, which is very important for this. And if anyone, I would request, I would like all the discussion now, and if anyone, we have some time, so if anyone has got to say something else, add, uh, because
I think, ma'am, I think Vibha is here. Vibha, if you can say something.
yes, okay, please, Viva, is she here?
I think Viva has left. She had to go somewhere.
Okay,
No,
okay.
So 8 o'clock, she had to reach somewhere by our time. So I think she has left.
she has put a comment on the box here, and I have seen that she had said that if your paper should be published, you publish it somewhere. So you don't have to go for somewhere, but we would publish it. We already, whatever, there were 5, like yours I think, is the 5th one. So already we have published the 4 lectures that had been delivered in memory of Professor Srivastava. And I'm also very fond of his work, because whenever he always went out of his way and did some new kind of work, and he always would send a copy of his papers which came out. And that was what you had been saying about the kabaddiwalas and others who were doing all these cleaning jobs, and he had done this work on them. And that was really, I told him that now you should do something, that what kind of diseases do they suffer, because they were carrying the night soils on their head, and then they were dispatching all these things in other places. So he said, yes, it's a nice one, but unfortunately, we didn't have him any longer to continue with his work. But I'm also a great fan of Vinay Srivastava, and had been meeting at one time. I was used to go to Delhi many times and used to meet all of them. And I can see many of the faces here which are so familiar and to my heart, close to my heart, like Deepak, Chori. And if anyone else would like to, because we have a little bit of time, so if anyone would like to add to the discussion, because it was a very interesting discussion, both by the speaker and by the discussions. So if anyone would like to say something or add something or maybe ask something which we are not supposed to do, but anyway. No.
Ma'am, I just want to add one, not directly on this. It's a compliment to see that Professor Mitra is wearing a jacket which is from Arunachal and belongs to Dinishi textile. So in that way, I am getting connected with Professor Mitra. Thanks for using liberation.
And I must say, this has come as a gift from
Oh,
Srivastava.
that's very sorry for you. I was going to compliment you that you are now a person of Arunachal and you know so well about the design. But he had opened the secret, given us the secret that you had given it to him. Thank you so much. It was so interesting. But I would now, if there is no more discussion, then I would ask Sharmishta, Secretary of Kolkata Studies, to take over.
Yes, madam. It's a very good discussion, and we are all enriched so much. So before the ending, I am requesting Professor Mitro to please submit this matter, the lecture, for our publication. Then in the next issue, we can publish this lecture. So thank you so much for this lecture and very enthusiastic this deliberation and the profile, the discussion. The discussion is so useful for us to know Professor Srivastava. So thank you, Ranjanadi also, and Professor Deepak Kumar Behera, Professor Shorit Chaudhuri to enrich this discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you all the participants, delegates. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
all.
and good night.
For being
Thank
here.
you, Professor Moitro. Thank you very much, Professor Moitro.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we end this session now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks to everyone. Rachna, thanks to you also.
Thank you.
For adding to the discussion. Thanks. Thanks a lot, and good night to everyone.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.